Maybe this is a time that you run a little pick and roll where Malik Allen sets the screen, drop him down to the baseline, see if you can throw back to him. You can do the same thing at the top of the circle and get him an open look to see if you can get the
Test picked up his third foul. 14 to shoot for Miami. Best around the grand screen. Ducks in, double pumps. It rolls in for him. Travis Preston double figures for the third time in 4 games as a member of the Heat.
It's a good kind of points up and out for a rookie like Malik Allen. First 3 games after 16 points plus per game. And suddenly people start paying a little more attention to you. And all of a sudden you don't get those same open jump shots that you were getting in the first couple of games.
Jermaine O'Neal got away with a travel and somehow that ball found its way down the hoop. So Jermaine O'Neal goes in deep and gets his 13th point off his 9th rebound. Jones inside of Karan Butler, what a nice move. 11 points for Butler. Karan's been in double figures in all 4 games this year, averaging just under 14 points a night. Butler leading all rookies in minutes played, and he's third among rookies in scoring. O'Neal turning another good-looking move for Jermaine O'Neal. So he has 15 points. He and Brad Miller.
Right here. This will make someone very, very happy. We want to thank Jennifer Lopez. We want to thank Halle Berry. Justin Timberlake Justified is out today. And we want to thank you for watching Spanking the Music Week. And it is only going to get better. Tomorrow, O-Town's going to come by. TLC is going to be here. And we're going to rock all week long. Thank you for watching. Thanks to our guests. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Of course, Daily Live in New York saying good night.
Start here in the third quarter, which is just over 3 minutes old. They're trailing by 6. Somehow the Heat have to get Eddie Jones involved. Yes, hanging and missing, but drawing the foul on Jamal Tinsley.
A couple minutes ago we saw an unusual play and it looked like Jermaine O'Neal was going to finish it off for a layup. Watch Eddie Jones get a piece of this and block it. But you know what? It's Brian Grant whose hands hit the ball. It goes in. Since it went into the ass basket, they get 2 points. Oops. Don't call him Brian Patton. He's leading the league in scoring for opponents.
Could have been his 14th rebound as well. But instead, the play he wished he could take back. Like, how about the defense when Artest is playing on Eddie Jones tonight? Jones just 2 points, and he's taken only 5 shots, hit on just 1 of them.
Well, that's the mentality that I think that was a double dribble. The official's saying that there was a deflection, but it looked like he picked up his dribble and then used it again. I'm talking about Artest is known as a good defensive player. You've got to come ready to fight that night.
Grant picking up his second foul.
When you dribble the ball and pick it up, here's a dribble, then pick it up, see, then pick it up, and then you dribble it again. That's a double dribble.
That's his second obvious call that has gone uncalled. The 3 officials all very good at what they do, but all 3 missing there. And here's another foul inside of the Heat.
Back a lot of years ago, when the Atlanta Hawks were playing the Celtics in that great 7-game series, that was like 87-88 season. In Game 6, the Hawks had taken a 3-2 lead, and Dennis Johnson just about got the ball over the half-court line, 10-second violation. He jumped over the half-court line at like 9.5, so it wouldn't get called, and picked up his dribble. And then he just started dribbling again. He dribbled to the basket and scored a 3-point play on a layup and got fouled. And nobody saw it, right in the middle of the whole court. And I only mention that because I was coaching the other team.
There are straight battles between your star Dominique Wilkins and Boston Hall of Famer Larry Bird back in the day.
Unbelievable. Oh, it blocked by Jermaine O'Neal.
But they took Eddie Jones' would-be bucket away. Shot clock did not reset. It's at 3, and Butler hits the 3. Just his second triple as an NBA player. 14 points for Karan tonight, but he don't take that one.
Karan looked over at Coach Riley after he shot it and acknowledged, saying, I heard you. I knew how much time was on the clock. Coach Wiles trying to help him out, told him the 24-second clock was down.
Jamal Tinsley getting his first field goal in the last 2 games, ending a shot drought of 11 straight misses. Jones with a burst, but look at that second line of defense from Jermaine O'Neal. They have frustrated Eddie Jones through the night. They have focused their defense on EJ successfully. Home crowd appreciating the hustle for Miami. They're within 5 points, even though, Mike, the Pacers are shooting 48% from the field and Miami just 33%. Into Brad Miller, and another foul upcoming here on Miami.
Foul number 4, Karan Butler.
Butler picks up his third foul.
This is that 3 a couple moments ago. Butler knows that the shot clock is running down. We see 2 left on top. And now watch, because he hears his coach trying to help him out. He said, I heard you. I got you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
So Brad Miller back to the free throw line. He is 8 of 10 at the stripe tonight. Another successful night for the former Purdue Boilermaker. Averaging 12 points coming into the game, has 17 with 5 boards. And make it 18. Now the Pacers by 7. Miami needs to find somebody to generate some offense here in this third quarter. Artest defending Eddie Jones. And now on Allen. 5 to shoot. Best will from downtown and knock it down. Well, 2 3-pointers in a row for Miami. They're down by only 4.
Good ball movement that time. They kept the ball moving until they found the open man. Then Travis Best knocked it down.
Now Travis Best and Karan Butler each have 14 points tonight for Miami. This is Tinsley. Brian Grant with a block shot. And he got that one with both hands outstretched. 10 seconds on the possession shot clock for Indiana. Jamal Tinsley will send it in. Brad Miller off the catch. Got another foul. This one on Malik Allen. 4th on Malik Allen. 4th on the Heat. Brad Miller with a penchant for knowing how to get himself to the free throw stripe.
Well, that's 2 out of bounds plays under the basket. But let's go back a moment ago. We talked about ball movement by the Heat. There's one pass that goes to Allen, who in turn throws it right back over to Eddie Jones, who swings it to the opposite side of the floor. Travis Best just spotting up, floating away from the defender just far enough so he couldn't get back to him on the rotation. And 2 times in a row now, Indiana has scoring opportunities as a result of the ball going out under the basket.
Heat are going to come off the bench now with Vladimir Stepania. He'll sit down Malik Allen, who has been ineffective tonight. Allen, who came in averaging 6. And Brad Miller, season high 22 points earlier this year. On Saturday night, he had 22 points, 16 rebounds against Minnesota. Tonight, 20 points for Miller. And we still have 18.5 minutes of game action left. Artest giving Eddie Jones absolutely 0 airspace. And the turnover gives it back to the Pacers. This is Artest. He drills it. Ron Artest with 6 points and a blue-collar night of defense.
So now what happens is, with Eddie Jones struggling, somebody else for Miami has to take on the responsibilities and realize that Eddie's having a tough goal right now. That doesn't mean that Eddie's not capable of giving you 2 or 3 baskets in a row suddenly. But you got to hang in there with him until he gets himself going against a very tough defender.
Ron Artest just picked up his 4th foul.
Artest is a capable 3-point shooter.
And Ron Artest goes to the bench for Isaiah Thomas. Artest sits with 6 points and 5 rebounds. Ron Mercer checks in for the Pacers.
Artest was 3 for 6 coming into tonight's game from the 3-point line. I'd say that's adequate.
Indeed, even by the Czar's lofty standards. Whereas Ron Artest, speaking of lofty standards, did get a 6-year, $42 million contract extension. Only a 22-year-old player, the 16th pick back in the '99 draft.
Some of those guys that have put a few years on their contract right there, and Harrington was already signed last season, so as I mentioned earlier, Reggie Miller comes up, Jermaine O'Neal comes up, and Brad Miller.
Now Eddie Jones finally gets a jump shot to drop. 4 points for EJ on 2 of 8 from the field. And despite all the struggles for the Heat, they're down by only 6, so make it 8. Brad Miller having an all-you-can-eat buffet at the Heat's expense tonight. 22 points. He's hit all 5 of his field goals, Mike, and he's 12 of 14 from the line.
He's 12 of 14. The Miami Heat team 10 for 13.
Well, by himself, he's taken more free throws than the Heat. Not a good thing for Miami. Eddie Jones for 3. He hits. Well, 2 buckets in a row for Eddie Jones.
That's what we talked about. You have to hang with him until he gets it going, because he's capable of stringing together 4 or 5 in a row. And isn't it interesting that I think you mentioned Ron Artest was out of the game. Suddenly, a breath of space for Eddie Jones and a couple baskets.
So Artest sits. That's a green light for Eddie Jones. Tinsley's miss, gobbled up by Brian Grant. And if you're counting at home, and I hope you are, that's 15 rebounds for him.
And I would go right back to Eddie Jones right now if we can get him the ball in his hands, while he does not have Artest draped all over him.
Brian Grant working against Brad Miller, dribbled it off the leg of Miller, and what a hustle for Miller to save it in. Tinsley down the middle, lofting it for O'Neal, who was out of bounds. How about the effort for Brad Miller? Getting it done tonight. His second game of 20 points or better.
There's a 7-footer, 265 pounds, getting on the floor to save it.
By the way, the Heat did not make a 3-point shot in the first half, missed all 3 of their attempts, and they have hit 3 times in 3 tries here in the third quarter from downtown. Could not make it 4 for 4 there, but Brian Grant, what an effort for him to keep that rebound for Miami. His 5th offensive rebound tonight, 16 rebounds overall.
You give him credit for that one right there? I'm going to allow you to do that. I mean, you know, he didn't exactly grab it, but he's responsible for making it happen.
Oh, went up for the dunk and was denied, but getting 2 free throws. And Mazar, I'm only responding to the official stat monitor. I do not have the power to grant him.
No, you do. You do have the power. You're like the guy at a baseball game, okay? Calling it, whether it's a hit, it's an error, up. There's the guy who keeps it alive. He almost has it in his hands, never really gets control of it, but he's the reason that Miami got another possession. And then at the other end, he goes strong, takes the contact. Opportunity now to pick up 2 at the free throw line.
Brad Miller got him. Second foul on Miller. Indiana over the limit. So Brian Grant tonight, only 3 points, but for the 3rd game in a row, double-figure rebounds. He came in averaging 13 boards a game, and the night going over 4,000 rebounds for his career.
You would think, Eric, as hard as he's worked, as many rebounds he's come up with, he would have taken more than just 6 free throw attempts coming into tonight's game. As Travis Best comes up with the steal, another opportunity for Miami.
Tinsley wondering where he came from. Here's Grant, blocked by O'Neal. Taken by Vlade for the hook. Vlade was hammered there by Jermaine O'Neal. Ball knocked out of bounds. And let's see what Mark Davis has here. Going to be Heat ball with 3:32 left in the 3rd.
Looked like Vlade really wanted to come up and underneath on the other side and reverse it. Instead, he goes for the little jump hook and then the second effort.
Jermaine O'Neal with 3 block shots tonight. Looking for more, and a traveling violation on Stepanya. And right from the start of this broadcast, Mike, you were talking about the long athletic talent front court that this Indiana team has. They've been on parade tonight.
Well, Jermaine O'Neal came out of high school with the reputation of being one of the, if not the premier shot blocker looking to enter college. And it's no surprise that this young man is a very good defensive player around the basket.
Well, he's averaging a double-double and has double-figure points and rebounds in 3 of their 4 games this year as Mercer rings it up.
Watch out for him, because he got it going in the first half, as we know.
9 points for Ron Mercer. 3 minutes left in this 3rd quarter. Miami trailing by 7. Best turns the corner, gets in there. Travis Best with 16 points, 8 of them here in the 3rd quarter.
See, he's so good because when he comes off the screen, he has that hesitation dribble. He doesn't pick it up right away, and that enables him to turn the corner then as the big man tries to step out and back again.
That one off the hands of Miami. It'll be Pacers ball after the timeout. Tell you what, the scrappy Heat not giving Indiana any comfort zone whatsoever. Still first back-to-back triple-double by a Laker since the Magic Man back in '91, and not too many people in this part of the country feeling sorry for the New York Knicks. Off to a winless start. For the first time since 1987, they had their sellout streak end last night against the Milwaukee Bucks. By the way, Ricky Davis, one-time member of the Heat, said of defending Kobe Bryant tonight, guarding Kobe is just like a walk in the park to me. You know, Ricky walked in the park for 24 points himself, and not a bad game for Kobe, but the Cavaliers in their first game at home defeat the Lakers tonight.
The Cavaliers defeated the Lakers also in exhibition season with a jumper at the buzzer.
Of course, you being the former coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, still close ties to that part of the country. 5-point lead Indiana, and Harrington misses as the shot clock buzzer rang out.
You know, when you think about Cleveland, everybody kind of wrote the season off as saying like they're just going after their #1 pick so they can come up with LeBron James at the end of the season. But you've got Zydrunas Ilgauskas back now, able to play as many minutes. A little slip screen, Brian Grant just can't control it. Ilgauskas unlimited minutes again at the center spot at 7-3. Tyrone Hill played for the Sixers, went to the NBA Finals, an all-star power forward. So that's not bad right there. The Ricky Davis, young emerging scorer, we know that.
Offensive foul here, and this one will be on Al Harrington. Third foul on Al Harrington. Isaiah Thomas sitting comfortably on that Indiana bench, although that's just how it looks on the exterior. 5-point lead Indiana. Pacers looking for their third win in 4 starts. Heat trying to even their record at 2-2. Pacers shooting 48%, Miami just 36%.
I'm sorry, partner, but I was going to say, think about 2 times Miami's come out of timeouts and run great plays as Travis Best gets it up with 1 second left. 2 plays, one was the lob back in the first half that was just missed, would have been a dunk for a score. And then the slip screen by Brian Grant that if he held on to the ball would have been a layup. So there's the difference in execution. A lob pass a little too high, a drop ball going to the basket. Would have been 2 more baskets.
Yeah, been a real struggle for the Heat to find offense tonight. Vlade Stepanya picking up that foul. The Heat over the limit. Jeff Foster back in for Indiana. For the first time tonight, we see Eric Strickland come into the game for the Pacers. As Ron Mercer misses the first of 2. New era of boxing begins Thursday night, November 14th at 7:30 when the newly configured Waterfront Theater opens for the first ever edition of Miami Fight Night. Seats start at just $20 for this exciting night of pro boxing. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit aaarena.com or the American Airlines Arena ticket office.
My dad was a boxer, Eric. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, had over, they tell me, about 200 fights altogether, pro and amateur. Won the Golden Gloves twice.
Russell Butler on the offensive board.
Not that that had anything to do with the game or fight night, but I just thought I'd throw that out.
It was well timed, Mike. No, you weren't a stranger when you got into that ring to officiate that fight.
No, I had a little experience, speed bag work, things like that.
Final minute, 3rd quarter, Pacers by 4. They have been unable to shake free of the Heat tonight. Here's Mercer. And the rebound of Vlade. Stepanya with his 5th rebound. And it's Best on his horse to Grant. And the rebound down to Al Harrington. Oh my, the Heat co-captains have really struggled tonight. And Brian Grant 1 for 8. Eddie Jones 3 for 9. And Butler may have banged a knee. He was slow to change ends. This is Eric Strickland back for Ron Mercer. He goes down the lane, but an offensive foul.
Good job that time by Vlade. He knew that Mercer was up in the air. He held his ground, picked up the offensive foul. Vlade leaves his man, steps up, look in the low right corner, steps up, gets his body in front. He's clearly outside that defensive area.
Ron Culp taking a look at Caron Butler on that Heat bench. He comes out, obviously. Eddie Jones checks in. Here's Jones. Mercer defending. Eddie down the lane. Hangs and hits. Best move of the night for Eddie Jones, who scored 7 of his 9 points in this quarter. Time winding down. Good if it goes. And it does not. Now, despite Miami shooting 36% through 3 quarters, tonight, Mike, they are still very much involved with this game.
Eric, we were talking about Eddie Jones knocking out that last basket right before the timeout, before the quarter ended, as Jermaine O'Neal goes down low inside. Eddie Jones had 17 free throw attempts in the first 3 games. That's about 5.5 per game. He's 0 for 0 right now from the foul line. So he's a little bit frustrated because he's not getting the calls that he normally got in those first 3 basketball games, and it's taken him a little bit out of his offensive game.
Tough matchup there, but Rasul Butler over long. Jonathan Bender. Impressive move for Rasul, who has 8 points.
That was a tough shot right there. You said it, over a very long defender.
Well, it's a season-high 8 points for the rookie Rasul Butler. The Heat have evened this thing. O'Neal has it bent off. Rasul with a rebound. And here he comes.
He shot that over Bender, who I said before had 9 block shots in the last 2 games.
John Bender's 6'11" and a long wingspan. Here's Vlade underneath. What a beautiful setup by Rasul Butler.
That's an off the dribble hook pass, hitting a big man in the lane. So you've got a lot of things taking place here that are skilled things in basketball. The dribble, the pass, the catch, and the finish.
8 straight points for Miami. Here's Eric Strickland off the pump fake, no shot, and Travis Best went down with an injury. Travis Best has sprained his right ankle. Brian Grant grabs his 17th rebound. Well, just after we find out that Caron Butler has a thigh bruise that may sideline him the rest of the night, Travis Best turns his ankle.
I think it's his right ankle that he landed on and turned that thing all the way over. That's one of those ones that you get up in the air and either somebody moves underneath.
As many as 8 in that 3rd quarter. And Travis Best on his way back to the Heat dressing room. Caron Butler still on the bench, as is Anthony Carter, who is not expected to play tonight. Mike James is at the throttle now.
Just about to say to you, so does this, as Mike James goes up with the jump, does this now change your thinking a little bit? Might you have to use Anthony Carter here?
Yeah, I would think Pat Riley wants to avoid that. Carter's only had 1 day to practice. But Mike James has missed all 4 of his shots tonight. And the Heat need somebody to run the show here down the stretch. Tinsley way off. Stepanya with his 6th rebound. And here comes Mike James. He wisely waits for help.
Not only has he missed all of his shots, he has 0 assists right now. And I mentioned earlier, I did not like the fact that he seemed to be looking shot first and pass later on.
Finds Brian Grant. Here's James to Grant, 2 to shoot, and that one bouncing off. What a weird night for Brian Grant. 17 rebounds, great, but his shooting's been awful. Brian Grant's missed 8 of his 9 shots, and here, nearly a bear hug on Jermaine O'Neal. First foul in the 4th quarter on Miami. And it's charged to Rasul Butler, and that's his first foul tonight.
For the Heat, Sean Marks back in the game.
So Jermaine O'Neal will go to the line with 15 points and 11 boards as Sean Marks sits down a fatigued Brian Grant. Now, if you want to catch your Heat on the road, you can. Get on the bus to Orlando, see the Heat take on the Magic Sunday, November 24th. The trip will include round-trip charter bus service from Miami, a Heat Magic game ticket, a special T-shirt, and much more. Call 786-777-4133 and reserve yourself a seat.
At this Indiana team, we talk about size on the floor. They have 5 players 6'11" or better out on the floor. So that's something to deal with when you look at the rebounding totals right now for Miami. 38 rebounds to 36 for Indiana. So we'd have to say Miami's done their job on the glass. And you know, with about a second to go, Eric, in that game we had mentioned before, Orlando leading Sacramento 124-121 with 1 second left.
Entertaining game at the TD Waterhouse Center. Same going here, not the high scoring variety, but a nip and tuck right throughout the battle. High game. This is Brad Miller, who has 22 points for the second game in a row for Indiana. Leaning in on Marks, who is draped all over him. Strong defense for him. Mike James in a hurry. Top side, Stepanya, here it goes.
He made that one sound like, here we go.
Still tied at 65.
Was that an adventure, that jump shot? Is that what you were saying?
Wasn't it? Eddie Jones with a takeaway.
Not off the last game. He thought he was Jerry West coming down last game shooting that jump.
It's Vlade. It's always an adventure. No matter which way it turns out, here comes another one. Stepanya hooks and sticks it. Viva Vlade! 11 points and 7 rebounds, and the Heat lead by 2. And guess who's getting ready to come back into the game? Caron Butler for Miami. Jermaine O'Neal handing off to Mercer. Oh my! Feathery soft touch of the former Kentucky Wildcat. He's got a dozen points tonight. Of course, he was on Kentucky's 1996 national championship team. I cannot understand that. Shot clock was gone. They said the Pacers had possession. Just under 7 minutes to play. This game is tied. And now a stop and play. Well, we get the explanation from Eddie Rush saying that they ruled that the Heat actually had possession after that miss by Tinsley. Very close call at an important juncture. And the timeout here was to mop the floor. Damp spot. He'd have Caron Butler, Rasul Butler, Mike James, Sean Marks, and Vlade Stepanya in the game.
Eric, not that I want to sound like I don't know, because I don't know, but what does that mean that the Heat had possession? If they had possession, then why isn't it their ball? If the Heat had possession, why don't you give the ball back to the Heat instead of Indiana?
Because Rasul Butler lost it out of bounds, is what they're obviously ruling. That's the only explanation out. Here's our test coming baseline. He rolls it in, plus the foul on Caron Butler. So a pivotal sequence tilts the game in Indiana's direction with 6:39 left. 8 points now for our test.
Let's go back and examine this, Eric. Because, you know, sometimes I get very hard-headed, but let's see where the problem is. There's a loose ball. There's no possession there at all. And now he jacks it up and hoists it up. And they're claiming that as it came off the backboard, Indiana still had possession of it, but already the 24-second violation had taken place.
Here's Butler coming in, Artest with another strong defensive effort. Home crowd wanted the foul. You're looking at one of the best individual defenders of small forwards in the league, and Ron Artest. Pacers by 3, almost halfway through the fourth. Jermaine O'Neal plus the foul. And the Pacers trying to seize control here midway through the fourth quarter.
First, let's go back to the defensive end of the floor for Indiana. We said this is a long team, but this time it's not one of the 7-footers. It's Artest who makes a great block against Caron Butler. And then at the other end of the floor, O'Neal going around the Vlade for the layup, and now his attempt to finish the three-point play. And right now is when Miami's got to grab hold of the situation. If he makes this, it's going to be a 6-point game. You can't let them start to slide away now with 6 minutes remaining.
Jermaine O'Neal, whose averages succeeding with defense and a very tough front court. It's been Brad Miller and Jermaine O'Neal that have led the way tonight for Indiana. That duo has collaborated for 42 points. And Indiana seizing control with his 10-2 run. They're playing excellent defense. Heat shooting 36% tonight. Here's Artest again. That one rolling off. And a rebounding foul on Sean Marks. Mike, it does appear that Jermaine O'Neal and Brad Miller are wearing down that Heat front court.
And as he comes down, just trying to recover his defensive stance. His right ankle, take a look, turns all the way over again. That looks like a bad sprain right there. And as a result, they had to take Travis Best into the locker room, probably x-raying it, icing it down. And Miami at that point didn't know whether or not he would return to the floor. They certainly could use him back out on the floor. Dallas, they suffered a very serious loss. Rayful Friends out 3 to 6 weeks with his ankle sprain.
Had to start Evan Eschmeyer last night at center. Well, rumors going around in the New York media that the Knicks and the Mavericks are talking about a potential swap that would send Sean Bradley to the center-starved New York Knicks.
And what's the other part of the deal?
Don't know. Marks on the move, but a foul before the shot. Going to be on Jermaine O'Neal.
Foul number 7, Jermaine O'Neal. His third.
Jermaine O'Neal with Jonathan Bender will go to the line with his 2 points. Now, coming up right after our game tonight, Nextel Florida Sports News. Your favorites, Tom Block and Barry Milligan, will have a complete wrap-up of our game tonight. And they'll also have Jason Alpert reporting on last night's Dolphins loss at Green Bay. Charles Davis in studio talking college football. And a look at Vanderbilt's interesting profanity policy. All of it right after the game on Nextel Florida Sports News.
Eric, I know this won't surprise you, but Indy now in the second half. 14 for 16 from the free throw line. Miami 1 for 4.
Wow. Indiana 25 of 30 on the night at the foul line. Heat offense has just come unglued, gives much of the credit to Indiana's defense. Been a very underrated defense, and Pat Riley talked about it before the game. A team that is beginning to take on a new personality. This is a growing power in the Eastern Conference. You get the feeling.
Yeah, and he mentioned Isaiah Thomas having a defensive mindset from his days with the Pistons. Isaiah gets small forward. But then when they moved on, changed their small forward position, got guys that could get to the foul line for him. As we see the three by Eddie Jones, a badly needed three for Miami. Suddenly the Pistons became the bad boys, defense became the priority, and that's how they won back-to-back championships.
12 points for Eddie Jones tonight, 10 of them here in the second half. Heater down by 7. Time to keep on pushing. Brad Miller, blocked by Malik Allen. And maybe it's last call for Miami now. Jones for a long 2. Well, 5 straight points for Eddie Jones. And the
to play that time on the rotation by Allen.
So the dribble, powers to the rack, laid it up, missed it, followed his own miss with a left-hand flip. No, it was Eddie Griffin giving credit for the bucket. Eddie with the follow.
What happened, Steve Francis, deep in the lane on penetration, draws the defense in, allowing Eddie Griffin to move in for the offensive rebound.
The Rockets lead the Sonics 51-48. Barry outside for a 3 pitch from Gary Payton. Brent Barry knocks it down. And for my money offensively, Barry will be the key to the Sonics here in the second half. 3 of 4 with 22 minutes logged in. Brent needs a few more touches. He's got to go get the ball. Here's Mobley with it now. Over Lewis for the J. Rebound to Payton. Payton angles up the center of the floor, shuffles his feet, switches right to left hand, and finds Lewis open for the J.
Brian Grant with his 18th rebound tonight, and a foul on Indiana.
Coming out of the timeout, the one thing I know Pat Riley was stressing was one stop. We need a stop. We've got to play good individual defense. We see O'Neal turn away from the double team, and then it's a matter of the guy defending him going and getting the basketball. So first Brian Grant had to stop him, challenge the shot, and then go get the ball and secure it.
How about Brian Grant? He had 16 rebounds at New Orleans, 14 rebounds Sunday against Sacramento, and Mike, 18 boards tonight for Grant.
It all starts with having the ability physically to do this type of thing. Brian Grant is in outstanding physical condition.
Here's a three for James, and it ricochets out to Ron Artest. Could have brought Miami to within 2, and he made that. Ron Artest thought about splitting that double team. And it goes to Brad Miller, who has 24 points. Shot clock again down to 6. Artest comes up short, but Miller has the rebound. And an offensive foul on Indiana's Artest. Good drive.
Wide open, leaves his man, steps up, takes the blow.
5th foul tonight on Ron Artest. Now the Heat coming down the home stretch with Mike James, Malik Allen, Eddie Jones, Brian Grant, and Caron Butler. Travis Best sprained his ankle. He's back in the locker room. And that pass deflected out by the Pacers with 12 on the shot.
Eddie really got going when Artest went to the bench. How are you going to get shots for him?
Eddie Jones tripling again. Mikey has 3 triples in the second half. And after a 2-point first half, Eddie has found it. He has 15 second half points. It's a 2-point game here in Miami. And an offensive foul on Ron Artest, who fouls out.
First half, out of the game on the bench.
Ron Artest goes to the bench, 9.7 boards, fouls out for the first time this year. 2 minutes left. Heat are down by just 2 points. By the way, Indiana just 3 team fouls. The Heat are already over the limit. Jones for Grant, blocked by O'Neal, but a foul. Tie game. And what a game it has been here in Miami.
If you're Indiana right now, you're probably going to pound this thing down inside to either O'Neal or Miller, who have had outstanding games. From the Heat standpoint, the perimeter guys need to put pressure on to try to take those post-up guys out of their spots.
10 straight points for the Heat, and a chance for more. Eddie Jones with a rebound of Tinsley's miss. Jamal Tinsley having a nightmare, 1 for 9. Now the Heat trying to claim the lead.
This plays for Eddie Jones. Wiley called it right away. He wants him to create from the middle of the floor.
Butler tried to force it in there and could not. Brad Miller away with a rebound, his 8th. Now the Heat trailed by 10, 77 to 67. This is Tinsley, picked up by Allen. Lob, what a play! I don't know how O'Neal made that. Checked his rear view mirror and slammed it in without seeing the hoop. Spectacular work for Jermaine O'Neal. Now the Heat call timeout. Miller and O'Neal have collaborated for 46 Indiana points. None more prettier than this.
Just a sense of knowing where you are, I guess, sir.
With Mike Fratello, I'm Eric Reed. Glad you're with us for the finish.
Miami 1 timeout left, no 20.
Jones had it blocked. Oh, they were ready for Eddie Jones. Brad Miller and Ron Mercer both right there. Now the Heat need a stop, trailing by 2.
I think Eddie actually had a kick-out pass when he went into his move. I'm not sure he saw his teammate open.
Here's Jermaine O'Neal, who does have 22 points in the Miller, and he has 26. And they have been the duo that have wreaked havoc for the Heat. So Brad Miller and Jermaine O'Neal have collaborated for 48 points and 21 rebounds. Timeout to Miami.
Coming out of the timeout, Miami's looking for Eddie Jones. He's guarded by Ron Mercer. Jones gets the ball on the sideline. Now, as he goes up in the air on this reverse spin, right there, he may have had a teammate open to his left. It's tough to get it from that particular angle to see. And then at the other end, after Miller dives the lane, look low right, nobody cutting off. A little bit too late, Eddie Jones gets there.
Well, Mike, 19 seconds left. Heat are down by 4. What does Pat Riley come up with here? With the Heat down by 4 and only 18.9 seconds to play.
Well, you understand that you have to get a score. There are no timeouts left for Miami. Set up your defense. You're going to have to press full court. Indiana could take a timeout and advance the basketball if they want to, but you got to be ready in case Indiana tries to rush the ball in quickly and avoid having to use the timeout up. And then you foul right away, send them back to the foul line. And in the meantime, you got to set up your next play from off the foul line because you've got no time to talk it out. So if you get a score and if you get a foul, you still have to know what you're going to do from the other end of the floor with no timeouts left.
Well, let's see how it works out for Miami. Rasul Butler, Mike James, Malik Allen, Karan Butler, and Eddie Jones for the Heat. Miami trailing by 4. Jones underneath. James was fouled by Brad Miller. We had third Mike James tonight. Join us again on Sunshine Network Tuesday night when the Los Angeles Clippers make their only visit to the American Airlines Arena. Pregame at 7, tip at 7:30 here on Sunshine.
Mike James 4 for 6 from the foul line coming into tonight's game. They need this one to bring it to 2, then get ready to go right into the press. There it is. Indiana elects not to call a timeout. They take a look, see if they can get it in quick, and then Jermaine O'Neal takes the timeout. So it's a 2-point game. Indiana will have the option whether to take it out on the baseline or advance it. They want a full timeout now.
So we'll come back for the final. There takes his 5th foul. And it's on Brad Miller, a man you did not want to have received that ball. He is 14 of 16 at the line tonight, Brad Miller. 86% coming in. So Miller having his best start as a free throw shooter this year. Career, he's around 77%. But what a night he's had, Mike Fratello, with 26 points and 8 boards.
All you got to do is miss one, just one. Isaiah Thomas is talking to Ron Mercer right now, telling Ron Mercer, listen, if we go up 3, if he misses this shot, he's telling him whether to foul or not as the Heat push it back in transition.
It's ironic, even without Reggie Miller, still Miller time for Indiana tonight in Miami. Only it's Brad Miller. 28 points for him. Mike James behind his back for Rasul's 3. Eddie Jones to the corner for a triple. Out of bounds. It's over. The Heat lose by 4 points to Indiana. Brad Miller, the star of the game, with 28 points. Jermaine O'Neal finished with 22 and 13 rebounds. Eddie Jones led the Heat with 17 points. Brian Grant had 18 rebounds. So the Pacers go to 3-1. The Heat fall